Last Thursday, a bevy of state legislative and policy officials, along with Del Norte's congressional representative, descended on the county to discuss transportation, everything from Front Street to 199 to Last Chance Grade. The centerpiece of the day was the first ever meeting in Del Norte County of the California Transportation Commission, the body responsible for funding and overseeing state transportation projects. Commission members spent the day touring the county, witnessing firsthand the many local transportation challenges. In between their sojourns, the commission held a meeting at the Flynn Center, hearing from local city and county officials and department heads about the state of Del Norte's roads and highways, as well as receiving an update on the 199-197 project, the Dr. Fine Bridge replacement, and Last Chance Grade from Caltrans. The day was capped off with a town hall meeting at the fairgrounds hosted by State Senator Mike McGuire, along with State Assemblymember Jim Wood, in which commission members as well as Caltrans and city and county officials updated the public on these same projects. During the afternoon meeting at the Flynn Center, KFUG Community News spoke with Congressman Jared Huffman, whose stakeholders group has led the way in keeping the perils of Last Chance Grade before the eyes of policymakers in both Sacramento and Washington, D.C., about the importance of federal involvement in this project.
How important is it at the federal level for this type of project?
Yeah, it's important in several ways. First of all, this project has gotten the attention of folks all the way up the Federal Highway Administration. They've been out here, they've helped us as part of this state, local, federal team so far. So they're plugged in, but I think one of the reasons this project stands out is the work that happens every single year out there to keep this roadway from slipping down the hill. It's expensive, and it's often tapping into this federal program called emergency replacement, which wasn't meant to be a every year kind of fix for a highway that's sliding into the ocean. And so I think there's real interest in seeing if we can't find a way to end the very expensive and frankly not all that effective triage that we've been doing every year at Last Chance Grade. It's not sustainable. Yeah.
Are you concerned about any of the environmental impacts at all?
Oh, of course, you have to be, but the worst environmental impact would be to neglect or to be in denial, I guess, about the reality at Last Chance Grade, have a catastrophic failure, and then try to figure out an alternate route in the face, literally in the middle of that kind of a crisis. It's far better that we plan ahead, that we, make some calm and calculated decisions in the absence of a crisis, and that's what we're trying to do.
Congressman Huffman's remarks to the commission, as well as the entirety of the Flynn Center meeting, can be viewed on Del Norte County's YouTube channel. Before the evening's town hall meeting at the fairgrounds, County Supervisor Jerry Hemmingson had this to say about the day spent with the commission.
So, how's today been?
It's been a busy day. A lot of action. Great to see the California Transportation Commission here and be supportive of our projects. A lot of community involvement. They got hands-on. They got to drive 199 or ride on 199 since their plane went into Medford instead of coming here. So they got the full experience. And I think they, in all, I think they kind of liked that part of it, even though it was inconvenient. They got here, and great to listen to Fran. She's very supportive. It's all good.
Wow. So how important are occasions like this where you get like FaceTime?
Oh, it's invaluable. I mean, you just can't say enough about it. That hands-on thing for them to be here and see what we live is really important aspect of really getting in there and knowing what our needs are.
City Manager Eric Weir also discussed the importance of a day spent with the Transportation Commission in Del Norte County.
So I heard in the earlier meeting today you've taken the commission kind of around the area. What are some of the spots you showed them?
So I joined the commission tour at their lunch break, and then we actually drove around the city. So we drove down Front Street, we drove down in and around the schools to look at some of the pedestrian type projects, and then drove up Pebble Beach Drive to look at some of the bank erosion and the significant damage that street has had and that bank is experiencing over time. So that's kind of the main spots that we saw in the afternoon.
Do you feel in the meeting today that they took in all perspectives and took in all opinions given by all the people giving presentations?
Yeah, overall I thought it was a good meeting. I thought I really appreciated them coming to Del Norte County. It's obviously a long ways away for them, and this is the first time they've ever been up here. And then to have a meeting like that and really sit back and take in all those different viewpoints and to listen to the projects and really engage with each of the community members that gave their presentation and even the public comment, I thought it was a really good meeting.
Awesome, yeah. And do you have any hopes for this current kind of town hall?
It's just, I think it's so important to just keep it on the forefront. This is such an important project to our community, to keep it out there, to see the support from, Congressman Huffman and Senator McGuire and Assemblymember Wood. Them being here really gives the credence to the project and how important it is to this community. And I think it makes a statement for the California Transportation Commission. In the end, it's going to take the commission as the one that's going to allocate the funding for this vital project.
And yeah, I know Congressman Huffman. How do you feel about them coming and being here and kind of speaking on those issues? Yeah.
Oh, it's great. They've all been really big supporters of Crescent City and Del Norte County and the projects that we've done. Senator McGuire's held several town halls up here and really has taken this community on and really is connected with the issues that we have and trying to find solutions.
As the many panelists and presenters, local politicians, state legislators, and local citizens filed into the main building at the fairgrounds, KFUG Community News spoke with some about the importance of the commission's visit, as well as their expectations for the town hall meeting. Cindy Vosberg, executive director of the Crescent City Del Norte Chamber of Commerce, had this to say.
It's a no-brainer. Everybody knows that we need to be proactive on getting last chance grade moving along. And I thought that the different presentations that I've seen from Caltrans, that they're right on the mark of identifying what our needs are. What I liked today, that what I heard was the commission actually saying that that alluding to the fact that we need to speed up the timeline, and that was very helpful, I think, for everybody in the crowd. So,
local broadcaster, basketball referee, and current candidate for the Board of Supervisors, John Pritchett, spoke about the importance of clear and constant communication with policymakers about the importance of last chance grade.
Well, anytime you can have communication, that's a good thing. What we have to do in Del Norte County is keep the pressure on our elected leaders in Sacramento and in Washington, D.C. to let them know how serious this is. And with Assemblyman Wood and with State Senator McGuire, we're finally making that type of progress. Congressman Huffman as well. They understand now how serious last chance grade is, because if it goes, we lose 33% of our economic engine in Del Norte County. That's game over. And we can't wait 25 years to solve this problem. It has to be done sooner than that. We all know that the right earthquake, the right storm at the right time, and it will go. We've already lost people from Del Norte County at last chance grade. I don't want to see my family or your family have the same fate.
Right. I was shocked to learn, and I guess maybe people in the know might have learned this already. Just all the problems incumbent upon the inland routes that they're looking at. How they found, there are slides on that side as well, and we're going to have to really get into these studies and figure out a good roadway.
You're right. There are a multitude of problems, no matter which selection is made. What we can't do is push that selection down the road a decade or 2 decades, and then another decade to actually do the work. We have to get this fast-tracked. That requires Del Norte County, District 1, all the districts to have a voice saying, get this done now.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like anybody is happy with the 2039 date.
That just does not seem to make sense to me. In talking to voters, they agree that's just way too far out there. We're spending millions of dollars every year on a Band-Aid to keep it anchored to the road. And I think that money could be eventually better spent on solving the problem permanently.
At the CTC meeting today, one number that was out was 50-something million just since 2010, keeping Last Chance Grade on the side of the hill there.
Well, when you have crews working there every single day of the year,
right,
and a lot of times 24 hours a day, the money gets spent in a hurry.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the 199-197 corridor?
Once again, we have an aging infrastructure on 199 especially, 101 as well. Dr. Fine Bridge was built when Model Ts were still routinely crossing that bridge. We have bridges on 199 that are almost that old and are structurally beginning to become questionable. It shouldn't take 10 years to get a bridge fixed. We have to find ways to fast track these infrastructure issues and get them done a lot quicker.
Any concerns or thoughts regarding the people who have the lawsuits involved with the 197 project and specifically with the larger trucks coming down there?
I believe that if you have fewer trucks, you're going to have fewer accidents.
And so bigger trucks means fewer trucks?
I think so. To me, that's the way the math works in my mind.
After opening the town hall meeting with comments about the work of the stakeholders group, Congressman Huffman had this to say about where the Last Chance Grade project currently stands.
We're here because that teamwork has taken us to an important new place, and largely by virtue of the work that my colleagues in Sacramento have done, getting the California Transportation Commission to invest $50 million in an environmental review process that is taking us much further down the road toward an actual project that we can go out and fund and build. So this is an exciting time. Caltrans has been phenomenal, doing something that's almost unprecedented by bringing all the different permitting agencies together into this conversation so that when it is time to move forward, that can happen as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And just a huge thank you to the California Transportation Commission, both the commissioners that are here, but also their professional staff. They're obviously invested in Last Chance Grade financially, but the fact that they came to actually see it, to actually hear from this community, and to show that extra level of commitment to be part of this team effort just means the world to all of us. So thank you so much for your service and your leadership.
In his opening remarks, State Senator Mike McGuire summed up the current state of the stakeholders coalition and the importance of the work ahead.
This is truly an all-hands-on-deck effort. It's a true partnership between all levels of government. And I gotta say, this partnership, no matter if you're a Democrat or Republican or independent, it's paying off big time. For the first time, we're not talking about the need for funding. For the first time, $50 million is in the bank to be able to move the Last Chance Grade project forward. It's finally here, and we're able to move forward on the engineering and environmental studies. And we all know talk is cheap. It's time for action, and that's what you're seeing here tonight, and that's what you're going to see in the months and years to come. For the first time in years, the California Transportation Commission is here this evening because they are focused on rural California, knowing that we have significant needs when it comes to our transportation infrastructure. And we also know that the current schedule to complete the environmental and engineering studies are too damn long. And I want to say thank you to the California Transportation Commission. Thank you to the Congressman and the Assemblymember, the Board of Supervisors and the City Council, and to Caltrans, who all agree we need to cut the timeline for the project to be able to get to construction. And I think that you're all with us. Am I right?
After a solid half hour of opening remarks, Jamie Mattioli, Caltrans' Last Chance Grade project manager, came to the microphone and, armed with slides and maps, updated the community on where the project currently stands. According to Mattioli, there is a dedicated project team in Sacramento working exclusively on Last Chance Grade. The team is currently studying the geology of the grade and the proposed alternate routes, and will next move into more extensive environmental studies for which $50 million has been allocated by the state. While the scope of the proposed alternate routes has been narrowed somewhat, resulting in a lessening of projected costs, there are many risks that might change the scope and cost of the project overall, including litigation, as in the recent Richardson Grove project, late discovery of new underlying variables that physically change the scope of the project, and deadlocked mitigation efforts which would require the consensus of many disparate groups. Mattioli pointed out that the site of the slides requires the involvement of 5 native tribes, the national park and state parks, as well as private landowners, not to mention the environmental issues surrounding endangered or threatened species and old-growth redwoods. The area is even a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
So there's all these major unknowns that are impeding our understanding of the scope of the project, the cost of the project, and the schedule of the project. The biggest unknown we have is what alternative we will ultimately select. And my prediction, it's none of the ones we've already thought of. We will be learning more about the geology, we'll learn more about the environment, and that'll change our opinion of what the best solution is.
According to Mattioli, Caltrans has developed some unique strategies to address this sea of variables. The first is coalition building. Starting with the stakeholders group and continuing into Caltrans project work is an understanding that all groups involved need to work in good faith to find solutions to possible problems. Another new approach is to include the project contractor in the design phase to preclude any disconnect between design and construction. A third strategy is to proceed with the several studies that need to be made, from environmental to legal to design, in a parallel fashion. Ordinarily, with the proposed project, the requisite studies would largely follow on each other, one after the other. With Last Chance Grade, these studies will begin at the same time, possibly cutting years from the current timeline. The timeline for replacement of the grade has been a point of contention since its formulation in 2016. Originally, it was supposed that Last Chance Grade wouldn't be replaced until 2039, a date no one was happy with. While the strategies outlined by Mattioli could save a lot of time, just how much is still anybody's guess.
We want to be real with you all. We want to be real with how long it takes. This schedule was developed in 2016 when we knew little information about the job. We were producing these alternatives, and we based the schedule on the worst case scenario for 3 alternatives that we've now eliminated. So we are working on this schedule. We believe we can deliver faster than this, and we will come back to the public in the spring or the summer of 2020 with an update to the schedule.
After the conclusion of the town hall meeting, KFUG Community News spoke with Transportation Commission Executive Director Susan Branson about the Commission's takeaways after their day in Del Norte.
The takeaways would be that this is a true community that works together in partnership. They're committed to solving the problems with Last Chance Grade. And the other takeaway would be the Congressman Huffman, Senator Mike McGuire, Assemblymember Wood, and the local electeds are committed to solving this, as are the state partners, California Transportation Commission, Caltrans, Parks, everyone. We're committed to solving this problem. And we've got the $50 million dedicated now for the environmental document. The commitment, the walkaway that I heard from Caltrans is that we're going to move forward on getting it done, this environmental study, the phases, or the project alignment selected. Hopefully the goal would be early, under budget, so we can move forward on a final solution in construction. That would be the takeaway.
How out of the ordinary is it for you guys to travel this far afield to see something?
So the Transportation Commission meets about every 5 weeks in the more urban areas, because we have a lot of people that travel throughout California to go to our meetings. And so because of that, we tend to meet in areas near larger airports. So the commission, what they did is years ago they decided that twice a year they'll go to the more rural areas of the state, because they do represent the entire state. And so twice a year we travel to remote areas of the state, and we actually ask the rural areas or the remote areas to plan the meeting, share with us what their priorities are, and it's our job to listen and understand the unique aspects of those areas. And so it's not unusual. We do this twice a year. We recently were in Chico. We've been to Calexico. We've been all over the entire state. And we are just thankful to have the opportunity to be here and to really learn. The day we spent with Del Norte County, we learned a lot that we're going to take forward with this moving forward. And just the community here, everybody that came out, it's wonderful. So thank you.
We also asked Crescent City Mayor Blake Inscore and Board of Supervisors Chair Lori Cowan just what the meeting and the day spent with the commission had accomplished. We begin with Blake Inscore.
I think what they accomplished is that it communicates to the community that what we've been talking about and what we have as a community said needs to happen, it really is happening. It may not happen as fast as any of us want. Clearly, if we had a choice, there would be big trucks and they'd be hauling dirt and doing whatever and building that road right now. But that's not the way the process works. But I think it's really clear now that the process has begun. I mean, $50 million is a lot of money. And I know that there'll be people who say, yeah, it's all for environmental. Why are we wasting all that money? It's not wasting the money. It is the process. And I think that the community should have heard from this last day that this is actually happening. It's a real thing. And I think that we should be happy about that.
Great, yeah. How has the city specifically been involved with this process?
We've had a representative on Congressman Huffman's stakeholder group from the outset. We've stayed involved with the county, with Caltrans as getting regular updates. We've brought them to council meetings. So we've tried to make sure that we're a part of all of these discussions and share our concerns for our constituents that live in Crescent City. You know, oftentimes we think of Crescent City and we all think we live in Crescent City. I mean, Crescent City proper is really very small, but I think we all share the same interest in maintaining this road for right now, but also establishing that new road. The city's been there ever since we've been talking about this.
Here's Supervisor Lori Cowan.
What I was hoping from our point, we invited them up here last March when we were down there. What I feel we got accomplished from the community was showing the people who are going to fund this what it really is. I mean, for them to look at it in paper is totally different than getting up and walking in. You know that you grew up here and you know what it's like. So I think we accomplished that. I think from their point, I was hoping the talk to the community, my goal was to accomplish to show that we're all working together, that we are pushing that timeline up, and this is going to happen. For years and years and years, they've spent money to Band-Aid it. They have never, ever appropriated money for an alternate route until 2017. And that's where that $50,000 they talk about started. And that's when we started looking at the alternate route. That's the big shift. That's the change in the last few years, is that we are looking at an alternate route. We're not just keeping it going. And having the Transportation Commission up here is huge. It is huge. When I was down before them in March, watching them, as we told our story, do the bobblehead, they got it. They got it. And they got it even more today when they saw it. So really appreciated that.
Wonderful, yeah. I have one more. How do the plans for the alternate routes interact with native tribal lands, and are the tribes involved with the plans?
Yes, they are, absolutely. It goes through tribal land, heritage land, state parks, federal parks, private property, and everybody is at the table. So that's the stakeholders group that Congressman Huffman put together. I've been on it for 3 years, and we meet quarterly, and we meet all day long. And like they said, everybody's at the table at that, including environmental groups are all at the table as well.
With consensus built and funding secured, it looks as if there is new movement on Last Chance Grade, and finally, it's the right kind of movement. The town hall meeting is also available to watch online on the California Senate Democrats YouTube channel. Check out KFUG's Facebook page for a link. For KFUG Community News, this is Paul Kritz.